It's time for the end of July customary obligatory video on the NHL beta. God, it seems like I've been doing this since NHL 16 and the SHAREfactory opened up here. Now it's NHL 20. John on here with you. This is the NHL 20 beta, and PlayStation has finally succumbed to EA's greed in allowing the Access Pass to go on their channel for $50 a month. But thankfully, this beta was not hidden behind that same paywall. But be that as it may, in this beta you have the NHL Pro-Am, which is the ones against the computer, ones eliminator, threes eliminator, and EA Sports Hockey League, and the standard online versus and ones now if you choose to take it. So I'm struggling with things to say as we go along here, because I could talk about it and go on for minutes and hours and say, oh, you have EA Sports Hockey League, I miss the way it was with the World of Warcraft style upgrades and leveling up and getting your veteran card and superstar card and all of that, and getting your grades up and getting all of your points. And I know that's never going to happen again as I sit there and talk and hope about it over and over again. But yet I have to criticize some of the stuff on EA's end, because they always talk about splitting the player base over and over again. We don't want to take the player base away. It's a small enough community, whether it's just the Canadians that play it or the hardcore American hockey fans, yada yada yada. Well, you continue to split the player base, because not only with the EA Ones pond hockey last year, now you got the threes, which you already had from a couple of years ago, and now you had a threes eliminator tournament and other stuff in ones. Well, you keep adding all these pond hockey modes, and I'm not sure if all the other hardcore players want that. They always talk about having all the sim in the EA Sports Hockey League the way that it was used to. If you want to continue to split the player base by doing that, how come you couldn't just have EA Sports Hockey League split within the same set types and then the one with all the points and the upgrades? But again, that's never going to happen. So let's talk about what is different in this beta, and should you get the game, and some of the other things. Now, going from this beta, you had previously, within the last 4 years, the commentary team of Eddie Olczyk and Doc Emmerich. And even if they're really good in real life, which they are pretty good in some of these primetime games, it never ever translated into the video game. And some of you can sit here and say, well, the commentary doesn't matter, I just tune it out. Well, within the last 4 years and supposed to be having a next-gen hockey game from NHL 15, the commentary was absolutely fucking deplorable. And there really isn't any other way to say that without actually using an F-bomb. It was terrible. So now people can go in here and bitch about having somebody you never heard of in James Samolsky, and you got Ray Ferraro here from last year, which has some good color commentary. And it really makes a lot of sense to have him in there, because he's already done a good job in NBC Sports Network, and he's pretty local and all that. But to his credit, whether or not James Samolsky has, some radio shows in Canada, which I've heard of, some stuff that he does, the dude does a pretty significant job in keeping the energy up and keeping stuff fresh. And I like it because of the sense that they had a lot more hours to have between those guys since they were local, rather than just having the obligatory hours that you got between Doc Emmerich and Eddie Olczyk. And it really shows, because not only you have to have those hours when you're starting a brand new broadcast team, but you're playing freaking hockey, for Christ's sake. It's fast paced, it's fighting, it's checks all over the place, it's awesome goals, sniping. You have to be able to keep the energy up. You can't just sound like Doc Emmerich and say, he scores. Everybody was getting tired of that. So, at least for EA's credit on that, and I credit Ray Ferraro and James Samolsky for this, they've done a damn good job considering. And even if this what it is going forward, I hope that they can continue as the years progress to, put that same level of effort in the commentary and keep it fresh and keep it exciting, because they've done a really good job on that. As far as the gameplay aspects, you've seen the scoreboard here at the bottom in the new commentary and some of these other screen packages, but the gameplay, EA and Ben Ross have admitted that this beta version is older than the versions that they've ever used in the past. So does that mean this is like 2.5 months out? Nobody really knows here. Maybe instead of weeks out, probably a couple months out. But what I have noticed so far is the puck pickups. We seem to talk about those every freaking year, but the puck pickups are instantaneous. Okay, and in the sense of offense and defense, you're just moving the puck around over and over in place, and you can see some of the stuff in the gameplay highlights from time to time. Rather than not, you're playing defense or offense, you're running into somebody, the puck just feels super freaking floaty to the point where, yeah, it's good to have some of these puck pickups on offense, but you've seen some of these things where I have a guy that I'm going up against, he's skating through 3 of my defenders that, obviously the computer AI hasn't changed, but, you run into that stuff, they just bump, and then they just picks it up, no problem, with 3 players over him. That's a freaking problem. Now, some people can say, oh, that's great because it keeps everything open-ended, but whether or not this changes, and it's got to change, because from NHL 19 into the beta now, and I don't know what's going to change in the beta, but from NHL 19, poke checking was completely freaking broken. Even when you got in front of somebody and you got good position, even when you're facing stick to stick, you're not going for skates and things like that, the stick would actually find a way to go into the skate and you would get a 2-minute tripping penalty. That stuff is incredibly broken. It has not changed. And whether or not that's going to change coming from this in the beta remains to be seen. But considering the fact now that the puck pickups are so instantaneous and the computer will not do any effort in terms of bumping other players off the puck and not being able to poke check, offensively, all you really have to do is move the right stick out of somebody's way. And then when you move the right stick out of somebody's way, move it side to side, you're going to be drawing a million penalties just like before. But now with the instantaneous puck pickups, you have the freaking puck on a string more than you've ever had. Meaning, defensively, besides if you take the right stick, on the R1 and you flip it away, you try to knock it off the puck, I mean, that's really your only option besides hitting. And hitting still feels incredibly overpowered like it was last year. And maybe the reason why it is, coming from this beta in NHL 19 and playing that a little extensively, hitting was overpowered because you couldn't use a poke check. So EA really still has to go into their bag of defensive tools and try to iron out this poke check, as I've already seen to be talking about this for a year and a half, because it's completely freaking broken. But at least when you have the seamless puck pickups, you kind of addressed one thing people wanted, because every single year you have to talk about not being able to get to the puck. So, other things that have changed. You have your signature shot animations, whether it be Kucherov or Stamkos. You really are at the mercy of what the top players are going to be in terms of Ovechkin, Stamkos, Kucherov, guys like that, because the beta hasn't added everything that you're going to see in terms of these shot animations. So you really have to stick with the creme de la creme of the players and take those shots for yourself. Now, I've still had a couple situations that you'd see in the gameplay where the one-timers were a swing and a miss, but you also have a goal like that, which was just a complete flick, which, it's good. We got a goal and it went into the net. But does that shot animation make any sense? There might be some other shot animations that need to be blended and changed, but the shot animations are prevalent for some of these other players, and you're going to have to see how it changes. As far as the one-timers are concerned, there was one in here where it was thrown back to Jacob Trouba, I believe, for the Jets, and he already was ready to go off of a good pass that I had set for him, because you just make the pass with the R2 and then preload the right stick. But the stick was on the ice differently, and the skate, the feet were set differently, and you could tell there was a couple shot animations that looked better as far as one-timers. And I would think, even though I had a couple whiffs, I would think altogether, besides for the computer that is probably going to continue to whiff all the time, even when they're in open areas. Aside for the computer, I would think as players you would encourage that going forward, that people would like it. So loop, again, in the beta, loops is something that we've been dealing with for the last 6, 7, 8 years now. So maybe this is just an old build in the beta, but I feel like I had to show that too, and that was just going along the gameplay. So a lot of the same things, a lot of the same problems still complement this game. But it's a shame because whether or not I'm probably still going to end up buying this, because some of my teammates and everything just play the sports games and I want to get involved and talk to them and play with them. But this is what EA Sports Hockey is going to be. you're still using the Ignite engine from NHL 15 while, Madden and FIFA have moved to Frostbite, then they could even say going into PS5 that maybe they'll finally go into the Frostbite engine when that's going to be completely outdated. I've talked about it before in a lot of the videos that I made in 18 and 19 and what I think needs to be changed and all that. And a lot of that stuff still remains to be seen, but I'm hoping when you're going into next-gen consoles, whether it be the Xbox Scarlet or the PS5, it's time to actually build an engine from the ground up and do everything from the ground up. And what I'd be hoping, even though people will probably be expecting an NHL 21 or 22 going forward here, on maybe PS4, but what I'd be hoping is that the team at EA, whether how small they are, they're still making money hand over fist, an Ultimate Team and other things like that. You're based off in Redwood, California. You're still making money hand over fist there. Start getting everything together for next gen, getting the dev kits and working on some of that stuff. You need to get a head start because you can't have it be like it was when the PS4 came out and the Xbox One came out and you had NHL 15. That was a complete dumpster fire. You got to be hitting from the ground up here because as far as I'm concerned, this is a generation lost for EA Sports and the Hockey League and all of that when it was the glory days on the Xbox 360 and the PS3. I don't know if it's ever going to change at this point in this gen, and I've kind of lost hope on that. Here is your last look here at the same templates, but the numbers sure have changed as far as I can tell. Have not been able to get any Hockey League play in there because that requires some teammates. Wasn't able to get to it at this time, but there was just more aesthetic things that were added. There really wasn't anything different in terms of the gameplay, and that's what Hockey League is going to be like. This is John Ott signing off. If you got any questions, hit me up when these videos are posted like that, and I will get back to you and try to get more in depth. Have a good one, everybody. Peace out. We'll talk to you soon.